Hey everybody, I started to work on a piece and I figured I would stop before I got too far ahead and just go ahead and do a tutorial. I'm going to do my technique like in my other alcohol ink video where I do something on the back of the glass in a clearance picture frame. Before we get on to the subject of what the piece is going to be, I did want to mention that when you buy clearance frames, they're usually not the greatest quality. I think this one was $1 at Walmart or a craft store. I bought a whole bunch of them at once and I don't remember where. But they were $1 a piece, and you know, when you do the art in them, they look great. You know, there's no need to buy really expensive frames. And this can be hung on the wall or stood on a desk. But one thing I wanted to point out with these really cheap frames is you're not paying for quality. So I don't know if you can see there, but this edge of the glass is really jagged on both ends. So just be careful with these cheap frames because they're not going to take the time to finish the edges of the glass or anything like that. So they're extremely sharp and jagged, and it's pretty easy to cut yourself if you're not careful. That said, for this particular one, I'm going to be doing a smaller version of one of my favorite pieces, which I'm going to have to move the camera here. But this is an old book illustration of a human heart, and it's got some text on it. Up here it says figure 37, and then it's got letters denoting the different sections of the heart. But that's just printed black ink, white paper, put behind the frame, and then all the color is done on the back of the glass. And let me see if I can get it way out there so you can see it. But this is one of my favorite pieces that I've done, and in person the visual impact of this piece is just phenomenal because of the vibrancy of the color, and having the magenta or wild plum here right where the heart is gives it almost like a 3D effect when you're in person. Like, it just really jumps out of the rest of the picture. And so this is what I'm going to show you how to do. It may not come out, you know, quite like this because it's really hard to replicate things with alcohol inks, but that's what I'm going to try to do. Please excuse my messy kitchen shelf. And just another side note, I found that cookie sheets are great for alcohol inks because if you spill anything, it's got a lip around it. It's made of metal, non-absorbent, all that kind of stuff. You can clean it, reuse it as much as you want. But anyway, with this particular frame, you know, it came with a cheesy picture, and I usually just take these and flip them over to provide the white. But this one, the paper is so thin that I can actually see the people in person. So I'm just going to throw that away. Here's my reduced size image. And then I've just got, because this is cheap computer paper, I've just got another sheet of white paper back there just to help it maintain its, you know, full bright white look. Then there's the back of the frame. And like I said, I started working on this and I was like, well, let me make a tutorial real quick. And you can see I had this taped to the back of the glass. A lot of times I'll do that just so I can see where things are going to go. And when I do that, I reverse the image because once, you know, you do this on the back of the glass and you flip it over, everything's going to be backwards. So I'll print out a reversed version of it. And all this color down here is just where this ran down and soaked up into the paper. But we can go ahead and try to use it, but it's kind of sloppy now. Excuse me. So the first thing I'm going to do, since it's been several minutes since I did this, is I'm going to wet it with some alcohol and basically undo everything I've done. And I just want to get this wet all over the place because I'm going to be this process does use quite a bit of alcohol, and it also uses quite a bit of ink because you want your colors to flow and run down. And honestly, I think this effect looks better on the larger picture frame than it does on these little ones, this particular method, because you have a lot more room on the big frames for the colors to bleed into each other and to just really mix around and not look so drippy, for lack of a better term. So I'm just going to add a little bit more alcohol, let this run some more. And it's looking a little too yellow for my liking, so I'm going to add some more darker colors in here, because I want that heart to jump out. That's definitely the center of the piece. And another advantage of using the cookie sheets, all this ink that's down here isn't wasted. You can still pick this up with your felt applicator or cotton, and you can kind of reuse it to fill in some areas with some more color. You can push it up here and get more liquid running down. There we go. That's pretty good, I guess. And this is one of those things, there's no right or wrong. You just gotta play around with it till you like it. That's looking pretty good to me. So now what I'm gonna do is actually pick up some of this stuff. And when you're done using any kind of a method, or using this method, you're gonna want to clean what's gonna be the front of the glass. But you have to be careful, you know, because if you get too much on there, it's going to run to the back and remove all the work you just did. So now I'm going to grab my wild plum, and I'm just going to kind of put it in here and hope that it doesn't spread too much. And then I'm going to tilt this up and let it run a little bit. So now you can see it going down there. And I really wish I had an eyedropper. Hang on one second. Okay, sorry about that. I may have to edit that out. Now I'm gonna get a little plastic cup here, put some alcohol in it, and this will give me a little more control than squeezing with that big bottle. Because now I can go in and it's only going to run down, so we can lighten up some of this pink that's underneath it. And if you keep doing this, eventually you can remove almost all of that pink that's down there. And then I'll just grab some more of this and throw a little bit here and there. So there we go, and then I want to soften this pink that's around the edges because I really want this to be the only pink thing. But it's okay if there's a little bit of pink mixed in there. I just don't want it to become, you know, the star of the show. So I'm going to add a little more of this really dark gray or purplish gray. I don't even know what color this is. This is just to, again, soften up that pink out here. And I do want to get a little bit of that dark color up here on the top. So there we go. And I'm sorry if I'm out of the shot a lot. I can't see the view screen on the camera unless I get behind it, so I apologize. And all this dark right here, that's actually sucked up into the paper. It's not going to be on the final thing. So I'm going to peel this off the back. Soak up some of this stuff here that's on the bottom. Again, be careful of that really sharp glass down there. And then put a piece of paper here so you can see kind of where we're at. That's the gist of it. I'm actually not real happy with it. So I'm going to move on to another stage of trying to fix this a little bit. Sometimes gravity works against me. I go back to my felt, get a new piece of that for my applicator. My applicator's soaking, so I'm gonna get some of that off of there. Now I'll do the dots on here of the wild plum, and then I'm also going to add a little bit of red, this bright red, just to help it out a little. Now, I could have done this to begin with from the beginning, just stamped it, but I do kind of like the almost like a watercolor effect of it bleeding down. So there we go. Now I'm going to take this away, and I have to wait for that to dry for a second. And then we're going to grab our other stuff here. And it's probably better when you're doing this. I'm trying to do it really fast because I'm on camera, but when you're doing this, it's probably best to let this sit for a while. Even because to the touch, alcohol inks dry really fast, but they don't completely dry in 10-15 seconds. So I give them 5 minutes or so. And there we are with the final thing, and you can keep going back and adjusting it or whatever. I'm going to pop this in the frame real quick because it really does make a huge difference seeing it in the frame. So there we go. One piece of artwork done. So yeah, I encourage you to play around, try some dragonflies or, landscapes, anything. Sorry it's not looking great on the camera, But in person, it's pretty cool, and it like that big one, it has that very 3D. The heart is definitely sticking out from these soft colors around the edges. It looks like there's about a ½ inch difference between right here and right there as far as depth, back and forth. But that's how I do the you know, a lot of the frame stuff that I do. So hope that helps somebody. Take care and have a great day.